Hey everybody! I'm so excited to be here. So can y'all see me okay? My glasses are just a tiny bit blurry. And it says that Instagram is telling our followers, whoop whoop whoop, Motherhood Understood is here. Woo! Yes, we're on, Lisa. Okay. Hey, Christina. Talk about getting on at the last minute. Ah! Okay. Got understood. Yay. So, hey, Jen.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I need to back up because I'm like all in my phone. I need to back
I'm
up a tiny bit. Here we go. So, I literally was on here at the very last minute and is like, I'm frantically texting Lisa and Christina, oh my God, how do I get on? Because this is my first Instagram live. So,
Oh, good.
yay. I'm going to introduce myself first and the Maternal Health and Wellness Network, and then we'll get into your good stuff.
Awesome.
My cheeks hurt so bad. I've been smiling so much today. It's been an awesome day. So, hey y'all, I'm Jessica on the farm in North Carolina. So, if y'all hear roosters crowing, don't be alarmed. Everything's fine. They just really don't know what day it is. So, I'm the head of membership here at the Maternal Health and Wellness Network. We have literally just launched this today. There have been a ton of people working behind the scenes to create a collaborative effort for people like me and Jen here with her organization, Motherhood Understood. And our focus is really maternal mental health and maternal health and wellness as a whole, because I'm sure Jen would agree, if anything is off kilter in any way, it can affect a mother's mental health and, emotional well-being and all of that stuff. So, like I said, we have Jen Schwartz here from Motherhood Understood. And hey, Jen, again.
Hi. How are you? I'm also in North
I'm
Carolina.
good. Oh my gosh, no way. Where at?
I'm in Charlotte.
Cool. Well, I think I knew that. I think I saw something.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's several people in Charlotte that I know. My sister, I'm in Kenansville. I'm in literally the middle of nowhere.
How far is that from here?
Probably 4 hours. I am right in between Wilmington and Raleigh and Jacksonville and Fayetteville.
Got it.
Duplin wine. Are you familiar with Duplin wine?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, you need to be familiar with Duplin
It
wine.
sounds like something I want to drink right now.
Yeah. That's our claim to fame. We're the home of swine and wine. Swine meaning we're the largest pork producer in the world, I think. So yeah, bacon and muscadine grapes. Fabulous, right?
That sounds really good right now.
Yeah. So two North Carolina girls. That's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about your organization, why you started it, when, all that good stuff?
Sure. So, like Jessica said, I'm Jen Schwartz, and I'm the founder and CEO of Motherhood Understood, which is an online platform and community and story sharing hub for women that are affected by pregnancy and postpartum mental health illnesses. And I created it out of surviving very severe postpartum depression and some anxiety when my son was born. He's now 7, so I have a 7-year-old son at home with me in quarantine.
Yeah, I get it.
So if he barges in, I apologize. Our mission, I'm in his playroom, so he might. Our mission is really to provide connection and community and education, resources, and support to women who are struggling in pregnancy or postpartum. So none of them have to go through having an illness alone, and they can all get the help they need to feel well and enjoy motherhood and have the motherhood experience they deserve. And I really created it almost, I guess, as the community and the resource that I was looking for 7 years ago when I was struggling, which I think is kind of what has gotten most of us into the field, you know,
Absolutely.
the different things we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, 7 years ago, I came home from the hospital thinking I was going to be Cinderella at the ball, you know, and motherhood was, I call my Cinderella moment, and I was going to magically transform into all these things like a domestic goddess and a Pinterest queen and a champion breastfeeder, you know, and cart my baby everywhere while I'm floating on air, telling everybody how amazing it is to be a mom. And none of that happened. And I think it completely sent my whole being into shock, you know, my identity, who I was, because what happened instead was I quit breastfeeding after 5 days. I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself going to therapy twice a week here. I went on antidepressants for the first time ever. And I barely got out of bed for 6 months, and I barely left the house unless I was forced to. So, you know, nothing, right, nothing fairy tale about that. And I remember, you know, at first just wanting to know exactly what was wrong with me,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to find other people who either were going through it or went through it and could tell me their, you know, the kind of raw details of how they felt and when they got better, because I wanted to know when I would get better. Because, you know, when you're in it, and if we have anyone watching right now who is in the middle of a PMAD, right, a perinatal mood and anxiety disorder, it feels like you're going to stay in there, like
it
stay
does.
in that hell forever, and it's your new normal, and it's never going to
Mm-hmm.
stop. And right, and the fact is that it does with treatment. I mean, we're all living proof that it gets better with the right professional help. But that's not how it felt. And I would go online and I would look for stories and quotes and things like that, and just other people, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that went beyond the surface of I was depressed, I was anxious, you know, and things like that. And so I didn't know what to do. But once I finally found the right therapist after a few, I did, you know, the key, right, is to go to someone who specializes in this. And I didn't
Absolutely.
know that. Got on the right medication cocktail, which took
Mm-hmm.
2 tries, and just, you know, started fighting the illness and just really having patience. I vowed that I would somehow do something when I got better, you know, to make the moms that came after me more informed, right? Somehow share what I went through so they knew what I didn't know. Because I think, and it's, you know, really the same for all of us who either wait to get help or don't get help. You know, if I got help quicker, if I knew exactly where to go for the right help, I would have gotten better faster, and I would have missed less milestones in my son's first year. You know, I think a lot of us who have postpartum depression or any of these illnesses, we really feel like we were robbed of
Absolutely.
that new mom experience, or what kind of life was like, just kind of being and cocooning with a little baby. And I still feel like that, you know, 7 years later, right? So what I started doing when my son was about 2.5 was I started blogging. I launched a small blog on WordPress called The Medicated Mommy.
Oh,
And I just,
good.
right, and I still go by that, you know, as an act, you know, Jen Schwartz, also known as The Medicated Mommy. But I just started sharing my story, and really in a raw, intimate way, the gritty details of everything from exactly how I felt to how I found the right therapist to going on medication and all these different things. And what I found was the more I talked about it, the more other women talked about it with me. And I was flooded with messages of me too. This happened to me.
Absolutely.
I even remember getting a message from a 65-year-old woman who said, this happened to me years and years ago. They didn't have the name for it, right? So 2 years after I was blogging, and I had, you know, written for other places, and some of my articles had gotten picked up, you know, by other media outlets, I decided that I wanted it to be about all women and not just me. And so that kind of, the Medicated Mommy transformed into what you see as Motherhood Understood, which is more of a platform and community. And now, rather than me always sharing things about myself, and I'll do that from time to time, we take story submissions, and once a week we share a new story written by a mom.
Wow.
And her experience with pregnancy and postpartum mental health illness. and we're never short on content. You know, right? And we, you know, we post everything, so there's no, you know, submission process like you're going to get a rejection, unless it's, you know, it's illegible and I have to, you know, proof it for 3 hours because I don't have time to do that. But we just post them in the order they come in. And, you know, as far as stories, I mean, I'm backed out through middle of July already, you know.
Oh, wow.
So there's never a shortage of content. And what I realized, you know, as we launched Motherhood Understood, is that what women really want is to be seen and heard and understood.
Absolutely.
And, right?
100%.
And then the other piece of that is I really believe that story sharing, which is what we do, whether it's through little quotes on Instagram or these stories written by other moms that we also post on our website, and then we post a shortened version on Instagram, is story sharing is really how we're going to get rid of the stigma
Absolutely.
of maternal mental health illnesses. So that's the gist of, I guess, the long-winded version of Motherhood Understood.
I feel like that we could be, not that we could be, but we are totally kindred spirits. You don't even know. Like, I've already designed you a bedroom in my little cabin on my farm. Like, Jen's my sister. She's moving in.
I'm coming for bacon and wine.
So, yeah, bacon and wine. Absolutely. But when you said, you know, the idea that you had about motherhood, and when that didn't happen, that totally resonated with me. I remember, you know, I'm in a super small community and I kind of know everybody here. And, you know, we're all with, you know, in our peer group, everybody's having babies at the same time. Everybody's postpartum at the same time. And so I was, you know, on the new cycle of babies. So I was one of the first to have among a large group. And I remember there was a girl in the nursery at my church, and she had just had a baby. And at the time, I'm a lactation counselor.
Okay.
So I offered, like, hey, if you need breastfeeding help, holla at your girl. I'll hook you up, you know. And so she was in there, and I was in there with my baby. And I'm like, so how was it? And she's like, oh, it was good. Oh my gosh, we're just so in love. And I'm like, really? Because it's okay if you're not. And she just looked at me like, you are crazy. We're really in love. I kept waiting for that feeling. You know, I did have yes, I have to take care of this infant. My husband and I, we both remember thinking, they're really going to send us home with this kid. Like, are you sure? Because we're not quite sure. And so I think so many moms, because the narrative has not been shared for so long, we have this view of motherhood that is very skewed. It's very beaver cleaver almost, you know. My mom, she passed away 7 years ago. And so my oldest was 5 months when she passed away. And I have had 2 children since then, and I didn't realize that I was going through depression, anxiety, OCD, and all of that stuff. And so I remember after she had my sister, who was 7 years younger than me, that she was prescribed Prozac. Then she took herself off of her medication because it just makes me feel totally weird. I don't want to be a zombie. And so that was my idea about medication, is that, okay, you're, you know, my mom and myself, my husband calls me high strung. If y'all out there know what that means, I'm super like, you know, and so when I get mad, I'm the same way. And so I thought that I was just mean, you know. I didn't know that, like you said. And I took the classes. I had a doula. I became a lactation counselor. I became a birth doula, a Lamaze certified childbirth educator. If anybody should have known, it was me. And still, the narrative that I had in my head was, if you have you're going to have the baby blues for 2 weeks, and then it stops, and that's it. And when sharing my story, like you said, the platform that you give moms, I have also found that so many people reach out, you know, and say, oh my gosh, like today, Maternal Mental Health Week, my feed is nothing but moms, you know, today's the black and white pictures and all of that stuff. And so I shared the black and white pictures, of course, and people were commenting and saying, oh my gosh, you look like you had it all together. And, you know, I know that it looks like that, but how can we change the narrative and what we present in the moment? Do you find people that do it in the moment, or is it typically a hindsight kind of thing?
I think it's both. I think what you did for that woman is really important, that you said to her, you know, it's okay if you're not in love. I think and I think women genuinely have babies and they are in love and they find bliss and it's amazing for them. I think that exists too, and that's wonderful, and we have to acknowledge that too. But I think the fact that you gave her the chance, right, and the space to tell you if it wasn't, because I do think a lot of women who don't know that it really is hard and it's okay to not love it, are just they need that safe space, or they need to know that there's that opening to be able to just kind of break down and say that. I really think though that a lot of this is, we have to educate women before the baby comes.
Absolutely.
I think that,
absolutely.
You know, and I think that one of the reasons why we also launched, and, you know, we have a Get Answers page that we have a lot of guides and resources on, and we'll be launching more things that have gotten a little delayed due to COVID. But I think the key is to get the woman in pregnancy and to really talk, and not like a, you know, fear mongering or, you know, to freak them out. But I think little things, you know, had I known that it was, you might not love motherhood right away, and that's okay. It might take you 6 months to bond with your baby. This picture that you see on social media or in the Pampers commercial where it says love at first touch, that's not the way it is for everybody. You know, these are the statistics. You know, 1 in 5 women, probably 1 in 3, are going to have some sort of depression or anxiety. And absolutely. I think that, right, I mean, how wonderful would it be is after, you know, if after every time you go to the OB during pregnancy, there was some type of counselor or nurse there that took you, right, that took you into an office for 20 minutes and you just learned about something new, you know, and even if it just went over the top of your head, at least you were being given the education so you would know what to do. You would know what's normal, what needs more serious attention, and exactly what to do in the event that you needed to call someone for help.
Absolutely.
Right. We're going to be launching, I hope this summer, but it might be fall. I'm not sure. And there's information about it on our website and you can sign up to find out when, but we're going to be launching a one-on-one postpartum mental health planning service.
Oh right. My God, that is awesome.
I think the postpartum mental health plan is the new birth plan. You know,
absolutely.
Right. I think setting women up for success postpartum is really important. And it also involves pulling in their partner, you know, absolutely. If they have a partner as well. So I do think a lot of this is education before the baby comes, before the woman is in it and really in it, and just letting them know that, and normalizing these feelings. You know, I mean, I have a 7-year-old and I keep telling people that I think quarantine right now would be magical if it was just me alone. Right. Yes. And I absolutely love my son. You know, I love my son, but I think it would be fabulous if I was home all day and could do all the exercising I want and all the recipe experimenting I want. Hobbies. Right. And the books and things like that, you know. But instead, you know, I am working and trying to, you know, keep my business going. And I am trying to, you know, and I'm also a kindergarten teacher and a school principal now and a guidance counselor, right? And an art teacher. And
you do need to move here.
Right. And a life coach for my son. Right. And, you know, and the chef, like the cafeteria woman, you know, mommy, I'm hungry. I want a snack. You know? And so these are things that we need to make it okay to say. Absolutely. And I think that we have to remember too, that the women who do say things like, oh, it's amazing and I'm loving it and I'm loving being holed up with my family right now, or, you know, the ones who are really good at crafts, some of them genuinely love crafting, and that's why they do it, right? You should be doing the things that make you feel good in motherhood, and not the things that make you feel shitty. And I think we should remember that the ones who are doing it just because they think that they have to do it, or like that's what you're supposed to do, I think we have to also show them some compassion too, and remember that they just might not feel safe or comfortable or be in an environment where they feel like they can admit those things, whether all their friends kind of act like that, or maybe their parents act like that, and they haven't found that opening yet to do that. And I also think too, if you are going to transition in the moment, whenever you see a new mom or a new mom and they bring the baby over and things like that, we all coo and we say, oh, the baby's so cute and whatever. You could do that, but either rather than that or in addition, put your hands on the mom's, arm and look her in the eye and say, how are you doing? And if she says, oh, I'm fine, everything's great,
then you're like,
right, ask again. And you can even, if you feel comfortable enough, like say to her partner, if she has a partner, like, how is she doing? Like, have you noticed anything? Those things are okay. Those things are really okay to do. And I think that they're important, where we need to put more attention on the mother.
Absolutely. I do a lot of work in the 4th trimester as a postpartum doula and lactation person. And so something that I try to incorporate in my childbirth classes and also after the fact is asking the mom and asking the dad. And, there's almost, if you've experienced it for yourself, I don't know if you would agree with this, but it's almost like you can smell it out, or you can look at the mom and see, wow, there's something, really, really going on.
It's the eyes.
Yes.
Right. Lisa and I mean, we joke, but it's serious. And we joke, even though when we're all at different stages, we have kids different ages. Her kids are fairly grown. If we lined up photos of all of us from back then, you would see something really similar.
Yeah.
In all our eyes.
Yeah. And, I think, you mentioned about fear mongering. I think that is part of the barrier in telling moms something. So instead of saying, oh, intrusive thoughts, you may think this, if you've ever had intrusive thoughts, you don't need another one, you don't need to make that yours too. So I really like, the checklist like the Bloom Foundation has out and Postpartum Support International that goes over, the depression and the anxiety and the rage and the OCD, those things that, hey, if you're experiencing any of these, I think that's super important. And I need to show you something that you're going to think this is hilarious. So I have 3 children, 7, 5, and 3. I have a 1st grader, a kindergartner, and the 3-year-old runs me. He is my king. And so when the COVID started, it was cool for like 2 days, when the toilet paper was plentiful, when Tiger King first came out, when everybody was like, oh yeah, cool, and now it's not so cool. I was thinking to myself, why does this feel like postpartum? It feels like the same feeling that I have a new baby, and it's that not having control, and also not knowing when it's going to end, not thinking that it's going to end. So again, my mama peer group, they are posting all of this, God bless their hearts, crap on Facebook about the stuff that they're doing. Everybody, I don't know if you've seen it, has done this stained glass window. Have you seen it?
No, and I'm kind of glad I haven't.
Okay. I'm about to show you. I'm sure this is off the schedule, but These people
No,
think it's hilarious.
yeah, no,
So
it's true.
everybody has done this stained glass window, like on their front or on their window. And the moms, of course, have taped up the window to do these little shapes and, like a cross. It was before Easter and, we're going to let the light shine in. It's so beautiful. And, all of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, do I really want my kids painting? I live in a log cabin, so it's not like I can dry erase my walls. And I'm like, do I really want a painting? And I'm like, we'll do it. So I asked my husband, hey, we got any masking tape? No, but we have electrical tape, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, electrical tape doesn't tear like masking tape. You've got to just about chew it apart,
Right.
or like I needed a saw or something. So I tape up this window. First of all, they don't give you directions. It took me like 57 days to tape up this window because I'm a type A person and I have to have all of it straight. I'm looking at it and it's like crooked because it's been up there for 5,000 years and like the tape has come off and stuff. Then I get the paint and I'm like, okay, each of you can have a different color and you can paint. Jen, they painted one shape. Okay, and I'm like, okay, so I guess I've got to paint this freaking window. So let me just show it to you. There's my window.
It's really pretty.
There's my telescope. So we have chickens, so those are chicken feet.
Okay.
And this is an R, and this is a 3 because we call our farm the Rock and Rooster Ranch. And it is really pretty. But along with the other things in motherhood, nobody tells you how hard this shit is.
Right.
It's like, really?
Right.
So after I do it, I'm like, no, y'all don't need to do this. Don't waste your time. You read a book that's nice and clean. It's going to take like 10 minutes of your time. You don't have to get the paint out. You don't have to scrub the floor. You don't have to wash their hands. So it is fun how we know.
Yeah, it's true. And I have been telling everybody I feel like I have postpartum depression all over again.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception that I get out of bed. I didn't get out of bed, then, and also like some days are good and some days are not so good. But you're right. It's because we are isolated at home.
Mm-hmm.
We're responsible for tiny humans' every need. We don't know when it's going to end. Mm-hmm. Who we are is a little bit different because we're now teachers and moms and work from home mom, and all these different things. And it's really hard. And, I had some childcare when I had postpartum depression. No one's coming in my house right now. So there's that too. And I think, again, just like with motherhood and just like postpartum, you have to not do the things, you have to do the things that make you feel good and not do the things that make you feel shitty.
Exactly.
I struggle and I have kind of limited certain places where I'll check online. We're not seeing many schedules, color-coded schedules at the moment being posted anymore.
You're not.
Right?
I got my first one today.
I think at first when everything went remote, they were everywhere, and now 50 days in, I don't know how, right? And that's and the thing is that I think we have to lower our expectations. And my son's been on the iPad for like 3 hours while I've had interviews and different things, and you know what, like there's just more screen time right now, and there's more iPad, there's more TV. It keeps me sane, it lets me get some work done. We do his school in the morning. Maybe he eats an extra cupcake there's a little more bribing. We go outside, but like, I'm also not really a crafter, and so I'll see these like elaborate projects or things like that. And for a little while, I'll feel bad about myself, and then I also realize too, like when we feel bad about ourselves or like we're judging what other moms are doing, it's always about us.
Absolutely.
It's not about them anyway.
No.
But again, you have to, if making a stained glass window makes you feel good, do it. If it's going to make you feel shitty and stress you out, you don't need to do it.
Hindsight's 2020,
Of course, right? Of course,
I didn't know going into it. Nobody told you. Nobody told me about the stained glass window.
Right.
So I do have a question for you in regards to your online platform and story sharing. Do you use this as a peer support, to can women ask questions, to the writer or to you, I guess, the editor or, person in charge, and, have that connection kind of thing, or is it strictly sharing?
So the connection really comes from when we post it on Instagram,
Gotcha.
as well as the website. So there is a place for comments on the articles, but what I find happens more is that we post it on Instagram, we tag the mom who wrote it unless she wants to remain anonymous, and tons of people always comment. There's always at least someone who is going to relate to what you write, and that mom usually then comes in and comments on those comments, and we have connections made like that. And what always blows me away is strangers, coming on and commenting and saying, hey, this happened to me 2 years ago. If you want to DM me, I'll talk to you about this anytime.
Awesome.
Right. So we have that. And then we also have a pregnancy and postpartum online support forum, which you can a community, which you can access through our website also. And you can just do it on your computer, or you can do it on an app.
Awesome.
It's with a third party called Inspire, and they have different communities for different illnesses. And so we run the maternal mental health one. So what's cool about it is you can just download the app, sign up for Motherhood Understood's pregnancy and postpartum mental health support community, and all of this is on our website under Join Our Community.
Okay, because I'm writing it down. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm doing a childbirth class tonight, and I'm like,
so all of this is on our website. I mean, it's when you go to our website, the menu is very easy to navigate. It's the Get Answers page, which has all our resources. Then we have the Join Our Community. There's the one-on-one page, which will give you information about what the postpartum planning service will look like. And then the stories page, which is the library of stories that we post. So it's pretty easy to find. But yeah, I definitely see that the majority of connection that takes place is for sure on Instagram. And that also makes sense because it's where our biggest number of, community members are.
Yeah. So what's your Instagram handle for those of us out there that want to follow you? Because I can think of a ton of moms that would totally, jump on board.
Thank you. So it's at Motherhood Understood as one word, but our website is motherhood-understood.com.
Okay. Awesome.
And also on our bio page, we have, in our bio, we have links to all these resources. We have story highlights about all of them. We also have the very first story highlight. We have a COVID-19 resources highlight.
Awesome.
Where we link to our different resources, but then experts and doctors we know who have created support groups and Facebook groups and things like that. We've done, swipe up links to all of those, just so moms can know about other places to go to.
My screen is going dark. Maybe it's the sun. So now I totally get the fit with you here today with the Maternal Health and Wellness Network, not just, maternal mental health, but I have found so much peace in writing and sharing my experiences as well. And I'm sure that you can attest to this, and every single mom who writes or journals, that it really brings stuff out of you that you didn't know existed, and it helps you to face and label those fears and those things that, essentially tried to take you out.
Right. No, it's super cathartic. And when I started blogging, it was super cathartic for me. And even though I don't write as much, and I will, I write a column for Thrive Global every month, and I will write articles every now and then. The writing, even just creating Instagram memes. I mean, Motherhood Understood for me is cathartic. I feel like the moms and all of the people who follow us and are part of our community, they make me feel seen too. So I think it's, you know, people are always asking, you know, how do I get more involved in something like this, or how do I, and I honestly always think that the first step is to just share your story, to just start talking about your experiences, and the rest will, you know, the rest will follow.
So what do you say to moms who may be out here watching this live video and who have experienced what we've experienced, but have yet to share their story because they are afraid of the response that they may get? What do you have to say to that?
So I totally get that. And, you know, you can do one of two things. You can write your story and just write it for you and not share it, but write it out so you have it. And maybe maybe one day you'll feel like you want to share it. It'll be the right thing. You know, on our platform, we share stories anonymously too. So when you fill out the story submission form, you know, there's a place for you to write your name and your Instagram handle if you have Instagram, or you can click the check the box that's anonymous, and you can share your story that way and nobody will know it's you. But I will also say too that when you are ready to share your story, I promise that at least one, and probably more than one person, is going to say, I could have written this story myself.
Absolutely. Just like your story, my story,
right,
you know,
exactly.
like, wow,
Every time. And when we share, we typically post stories on Monday and we share a quote from it as the Instagram picture. There is always responses that said, oh my God, this person was in my head when she wrote this, or I could have written it myself. So you will be met with Me Too's and empathy and understanding. There will always be people, even people you know, who might judge or, you know, make you feel like there was something wrong with you. That's going to happen no matter what. But I would say not to let those people prevent you from sharing your story, even if it's scary, because number one, they're not your people.
Absolutely.
Even if they're family members, your family members can be not your people. You can love them, you know, and be with them. But the people who you're meant to be with and the people who matter will understand your story and will be supportive of it. And even if somebody shames you or makes you feel judged, keep sharing, because eventually you're gonna, you know, run into the person who's gonna say, oh my God, that happens to me too, and you're gonna become great friends. And this has happened to me on Instagram, you know, where I shared, somebody reached out to me and we're like best friends and we text all day long and we haven't met. So just know that a lot of really good connection can come out of sharing your story too.
I agree. And you know what I have to say to the naysayers, to the people who say, oh, that didn't really happen to you, or oh, you're crazy, or oh, this. Hold my beer.
Yeah.
What? I don't drink beer? Hold my wine.
Yeah.
Hold my Coke. Hold my Coke, people, because we're about to do this.
And nobody would say to you, oh, you never had the flu, or you never had diabetes, or you never had cancer, or
exactly.
Nobody would say that.
Your leg's not really broke.
Right. And this is no different.
Well, I have to say, on behalf of me and every mom up here watching you, and every mom that you have impacted, thank you for giving us a release, for not letting your circumstance get you down, for not letting any of your story go to waste. Thank you a million times a bazillion. Seriously, you are freaking awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
So
you're welcome. So we're going to say, Lisa said thank you. I don't know if you can see the
I can.
Stuff. Okay, cool.
You're welcome, Lisa. You know I would do anything for you.
Yeah, Lisa's awesome. I'm just, today has been just such a good day. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And again, those of you watching, this is Jen Schwartz with Motherhood Understood. Her Instagram handle for their organization is at Motherhood Understood on Instagram. They share stories about moms that are suffering with postpartum postpartum or perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. And their website is motherhood-understood.com.
Yeah.
And it's an online platform for moms to share their voice, for moms to be seen, and for moms to be heard. And Jen, we thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You're welcome.
Bye.
See you later.